Where you sit now, where you be at this moment, where you be at this moment is an opportunity to a new way of being, to a new way of being, a new way of perceiving yourself, a new way of perceiving the self, beyond the old, beyond the old, beyond the ideas of old, beyond the ideas of old, and beyond what you expect to be, and beyond what you have expected to be. The times you sit in have great choice, great opportunity, and great benefit aligned to them. But in order for this to be, you have to agree to the change upon you. You have to agree to the changes that are upon you, the changes that are upon you, one and all, are about a release of an idea, born in separation. Has been the cause of most pain, that has been the cause of most pain. All separation is in pain, because union with source does not hold pain, as you understand pain, realization of unity, knowing who and what you are in source, knowing who and what you are in source has requirements attached to it, for the individual, yes, but also for the collective, that is undergoing a transition now, unlike any it has known, when humanity has decided, it is time forward, it is time to move forward. The collective agrees to circumstances that will support this transition, and the transition you're undergoing. And the transition you are undergoing is a relinquishing of an idea of what was and was supposed to be, of what was and what was supposed to be, in order for the new to take place, its place. Now you understand the new. Now you understand the new through your ideas of what has been, through your ideas of what has been. That neighborhood was once good. Now it is not so good. You compare the new to the old. You understand where you sit. You understand where you sit, through where you have been prior, the undergoing of change, that the magnitude is happening now, at the magnitude it is happening now, does not hold a precedent, as you would like it, and the opportunity presents consequently, and the opportunity it presents consequently is to embrace the new, the unseen, even the unasked for, because the unasked for now holds a promise of a future, where union is potential, and where you sit today, amongst the detritus of the past, the historical relics of a culture born in separation, only promise what is known, can only promise what it is known, what it has known, the idea of self. The idea of self as singular, apart from, separate from others, is about to be addressed, at a level of transformation, at a level of transformation. Humanity has not known, that humanity has not known. Now this is a transition. From an idea of selfishness, who I say I should be, based on my idea of self, born in exception, born in agreement to separation, to an agreement to the totality, to an agreement to the totality of all, the agreement to all, We are of the same source. In different experience, but of the same source, and the collective agreement to lift, beyond the old bias, the old decrees of separation, supports humanity in new potential, Nothing can and will be claimed. Nothing can and will be claimed, potential, until it is first claimed. explained as potential in the realization of the times you sit in, and the realization of the times you sit in, not fraught in fear, not fraught in fear, but fraught in promise, but fraught in promise, a new choice, in new choice, a new potential, and new potential will actually support all of you, will actually support all of you in aligning to the transition, in aligning to the transition that you are undertaking, with a level of ease, with a level of ease that has been heretofore, unknown by you. What does that mean? He asks. What does that mean? He asks. You are so used to dictating circumstance. You are so used to dictating circumstance. This is what my life should be. This is what my life should be, how other people should behave, how other people should behave, what I should be taught, what I should be taught, what I should be given, what I should be given, that you've actually lost sight of the agreement to be, and to be receptive to what is truly, and to be receptive to what is truly agreeable, available, and present for you, You've been dictating the terms so swiftly. You've been dictating the terms so swiftly at the cost of others' needs, at the cost of your own growth, that you cannot see, the rich table that is being prepared for you, And by you, we mean all of you. Humanity itself, the ways you've behaved, the way you've treated yourselves, the ways you have treated yourselves and your fellows are about to be seen as the cause of your pain, Your idea of injustice is still born in a solitary self, the idea of the self as the one incrucible, the idea of the self as mandating justice, but when humanity as a whole has called forth growth and change, and directed the circumstance with which it may know itself through change, has begun to agree to a collective act. It has begun to agree to a collective act that does not presuppose that what was will be, that what was will be or should be as you would direct it in your isolated way of knowing the self, in your isolated way of knowing the self, What does that mean? He asks. What does that mean? He asks. Well, you understand the premise of small self. Well, you understand the premise of small self. There is nothing wrong with it. It's simply the structure of personality. It is simply the structure of personality that operates in agreement, to a collective system, that has been reared in separation, Your total experience on this plane, whether or not you know it, has been informed by separation, Never once did you wake in the morning. Never once did you wake up in the morning and greet the sun, and know yourself as participatory to sunlight, and know yourself as participatory to the sunlight. Never once did you look at your brother. Never once did you look at your brother and know your brother as yourself, and know your brother as yourself, which is realization. The edict of the times you sit in. Which seems so fraught now with separation, is really very simple, Humanity will know itself as one. Humanity will know itself as one, and this will be the consequence. And this will be the consequence of acts you take, in denial of the divine, to a degree that you are forced to see the truth, You are forced to know your brother self. You are forced to know your brother as yourself. Now, this sounds upsetting to some of you. Now, this sounds upsetting to some of you, but in fact, it is not. But in fact, it is not. It is opportunity. It is opportunity. You've created the catalyst. You have created the catalyst for the level of change, that is required for humanity to ensure its safety, for humanity to ensure its safety. You may no longer stay safe. You may no longer stay safe, even support your own existence, at the level of alignment, that you have agreed to thus far, that you have agreed to thus far. It is not possible. It is not possible. The level of agreement you have adhered to so far, that you have adhered to thus far has claimed you in war, one against the next, has claimed famine, has designed a world, where some may flourish, while others may perish. You will not continue in this way. You will not continue this way and survive as a species. And this idea of what the world should be, has been the classroom, of the personality structure, and consequently the small self of everyone, and consequently the small self of everyone contributes to it, where safety is found, is on high ground, Now we use this as a metaphor. The upper room as high ground, because everything is in vibration, which means in tone, everything can be understood. Everything can be understood in a scale of resonance, the octave you've experienced yourselves through, at every level, at every time, has been consistent, with what has been available to you, in the collective agreement, to embody on this plane of vibration, and learn as best you can, through your experiences here, This is how the soul progresses. In an incarnation, in a lower vibrational realm. But now you understand that the vibrational field you hold, in tandem with this collective field, or octave that you are sharing, is being transformed, Now we are lifting you. In this instruction, to what we call the upper room. We are not dragging you there. We are not mandating you should be there. We are not mandating that you should be there. We're simply offering a way. We are simply offering you a way to align to the higher, where you may know yourself, on higher ground, for the benefit of all. Humanity itself, carried by a wave of change, will be put on higher ground, or a new level of resonance, or in a new level of resonance when this change is over, or this period of change, that you have all invoked, through the choice to survive, Now, there is nothing deadly here. This is not about cataclysm. This is not about cataclysm, as some of you would wish. It is about vast change. It is about vast change, and you must not attach yourself, to what has been, lest you be more to the old, and find it difficult to rise, when we speak of lifting or rising. When we speak of lifting or rising, we are giving you examples. We are giving you examples of vibrational agreement, of vibrational agreement. Every song may be sung. Every song may be sung in a higher octave, in the vibrational field you hold. And the vibrational field you hold, inclusive of the form you've taken, inclusive of the form that you have taken, may be lifted in tone or vibration, in tone or vibration, to be sung anew, sung in the higher octave, sung in the higher octave that we call the upper room, Now the upper room is not where you go to hide, is not where you go to hide, to escape some fearful outcome, fearful outcome. It is where you arrive to. It is where you arrive to an agreement of the source of all things, in an agreement of the source of all things that is available and can and will be known by all of you, and can and will be known by all of you. The alignment you hold today, wherever you hear these words, wherever you may sit, wherever you may sit, is the basis for where you go next, is the basis for where you go next. And if you're going to lift, and the agreement to lift to the upper room, is the only claim you need, because once the agreement is present, the alignment may commence. The alignment may commence at the level of amplitude, that you can manage and hold, What does that mean, he asks? What does that mean, he asks? Well, you're all in alignment already. In the life that you are living. And the life that you are living at the personal level, is an agreement to the life you've chosen, is an agreement to the life you have chosen. And by agreement we mean energetic accord, ACCORD, ACHORD is on a piano, as on a piano. Now the collective itself is undergoing change, and because you are of the whole, and because you are of the whole, you are informed by the whole's actions. Everything you see, you are aligned to, and everything you're aligned to, you are in agreement with, and by agreement again we mean accord, and by agreement again we mean accord, ACCORD, ACHORD, as on a piano, the tone that you emit, individually supports one level of alignment, but because you are of the whole, in agreement to the whole, because you share a sky, in what you believe to be events, or circumstances that impact the whole, the consciousness you hold, in alignment to these things, informs them, and either damns or blesses, to damn something. To damn something is to put it outside of God, to mask it, deny the potential, to deny the potential the divine could act upon it, that the divine could act upon it, or restore it to its true self, or restore it to its true self. To bless something is to realize or know, the action of the creator upon it, the action of the creator upon it, not to make it what you want, but to know the divine, where it is present, and the true self that is you, that is the one who blesses, can and will claim the divine, as all manifestation, as all manifestation. Now, because the collective engaged in the acts, now, because the collective engages in these acts, the denial of the divine, or damning what is seen, or damning what is seen, which means denying presence upon it, which means denying the presence of the divine upon it, is the world you've been partaking in, is the world you have been partaking in. The world is about to change. The world is about to change what you have seen thus far, and what you have seen thus far that has been unsettling, or perhaps challenging, is simply the walk down the aisle, to a new wedding, an alchemical wedding, where you are in fact reunited, with the source of all things, but you don't get there. By bypassing or ignoring what you have created, and what you have agreed to, and what you have agreed to, and what you've been fearful of, and what you have been fearful of, as we often say. The action of fear is the action of fear is to claim more fear, and everything you see that is frightening to you, and everything you see that is frightening to you is asking to be reknown, in a higher way, Now, some of you say, I won't condone what I like. Now, some of you say, I won't condone what I don't like. I won't participate in those acts. But what we are telling you, But what we are telling you is that the realization of the inherent divine, is simply agreeing to what so is simply agreeing to what is already so. God must be all things. God must be all things, or present in all things, or present in all things, or can be nowhere, or can be nowhere. You do not get to decide. You do not get to decide what is holy, what is not, what is holy and what is not. But you may understand that what has been denied the light, that what has denied the light has grown in shadow, and may foster darkness, through its own separation, Whatever has been separated from light, whatever has been separated from the light must be reconciled to it, This is true at the level of the individual. This is true at the level of the individual, but at the collective as well, and at the collective level as well. And you are now being asked, everyone born to participate in the change, where the outcome is in fact a new world, where the divine may be known and seen, experientially by all. Now, what does that mean? He asks. Now, what does that mean? He asks. We are not teaching theory. We are not teaching theory, nor ideology. We are teaching experience. And nothing we have taught thus far. And there is nothing we have taught thus far that cannot be experienced, And in fact, it will be experienced. And in fact, it will be experienced even by those who never heard of these teachings, even by those who've never heard of these teachings, because of the gift of God, or source, whatever you wish to call it, or source, or whatever you wish to call it, will not be ignored, is that its presence will not be ignored. It will be known. And you will sing within it. And you will sing within it as of the one great note, that has manifested as all manifestation, that has manifested as all manifestation, all things, seen and unseen, seen and unseen. Your imaginations take you to new places. A world at peace. What might that be? A world at peace. What might that be? Heaven on earth. What must that look like? Heaven on earth. What must that look like? We are not teaching either of those things. We are teaching being. We are teaching being at a level of resonance, resonance, we're no longer provoking fear, where you are no longer provoking fear, choosing in fear, denying the divine, and denying the divine, which is the cause of your pain, which is the cause of your pain. Separation is the cause of your pain, is the cause of your pain. And to move to a level of being united, and to move to a level of being reunited with the source of all things, or reconciled with it, or reconciled with it, is to know peace, as you be. As you be, you become peace. You become peace. It is your resonant field. It is your resonant field. And because you're of the whole, and because you are of the whole, the expression of your being, the expression of your being, with the whole, supports the whole in a new acclamation, again through vibrational accord, again through vibrational accord. The teachings we bring through Paul now. The teachings we bring through Paul now are beyond the need of the angel, are beyond the need of the individual to get what he or she thinks he should have, to get what he or she thinks he should have. She should have the teachings through Paul now. The teachings through Paul now are the requirement of the times, to transform, and to lift, lest you be caught, amongst the detritus of all these things that have been shaken. These things that have been shaken are being carried on this wave of change, and are being carried on this wave of change. You want the world to be what it was 2 years ago, to be what it was 2 years ago, or 20, or 100, or 100. What you are seeing now is the residual affect, of past choice, born in separation, the denial of your brother, the denial of the divine in your brother, the denial of the divine in all things, the denial of the divine in all things, so that it may be seen, because unless it is seen, it will not be changed. It will not be changed. You've been denying God. You have been denying God in the self, in all you see, and the reality you chose to embark upon, and the reality you have chosen to embark upon will no longer agree to this, How do we survive this change, he asks. How do we survive this change? He asks, by agreement that it is changed, by agreement that it is changed. It will not go back to what you knew, that you will not go back to what you knew, that what you knew was informed and riddled with fear, that the choice to be knowing the self, beyond those creations, requires you to move through them, to a state of being, where indeed you are renowned, and all things may be made new, and all things may be made new. We will take a pause for Paul. We'll return with some questions. We will speak again. We will speak again to the collective, prior to the end of this class. Thank you for your presence. Stop now, please.